Hello, Dr. Sushma Singh this side. Today in Unit 23, Cohesive and Divisive Dimensions of Religion, let us continue our topic, religion and its various dimensions. A common view is that religions in different parts of the world have been legitimatizers of tyranny or misrule by kings. But the evidence suggests that religion per se is not conservative or radical, oppressive or liberalizing. In the 15th century AD, Bodhidharma, the monk from South India, reached China and spread Buddhism. He stayed in the emperor's court for a few years but left it and settled down in countryside. He rallied around him the oppressed peasants of China against the Chinese warlords. Early Christianity mobilized the workers, artisans, and slaves to withstand Roman oppression. Many Christians were killed by the Roman rulers for their suspected disloyalty to Roman Empire. But in 16th century Europe, the Catholic Church connived with the brutal oppression of Mexicans by the Spanish colonial settlers. The Christian churches also condoned the European slave trade in the 18th and 19th centuries, when millions of Africans were uprooted and sent to far-off colonies in North America and other places to work on plantations. By contrast, the more modern radical movement among the working classes in the West and in Latin America have been led by religious reformers. In 19th century England, Protestants supported working class struggles. In Latin America, the Catholic pastoral have joined the struggle of workers against oppression. The communist rule in Poland was brought down in 1990 by the protests of trade unions led by a Catholic political leader. In Indian society, religion have divided as well as united people. Although religious persecution as it is known elsewhere is absent in India, its sects Shiva, Vaishnava and Sakta have often been hostile to each other. In more recent time, communal conflicts has also come to the fore. There are also various differences in dietary habits, pattern of living, linguistic and cultural uses, which have led to a gulf between one religious group and the other. For example, Vaishnavis wore the head tilak to symbolize Lord Vishnu in horizontal lines, while the Shivaites apply vertical line on their forehead to symbolize Lord Shiva. Both these sects had a long history of struggle in India. In the south, Shivaites were once persecuted by the Jains in antiquity. In turn, Shivaites persecuted the Vaishnavas. In these instances, the reason for the violence was greed, that is, the control of a holy place for gain, or the clamor for securing power and privilege in the royal court. In spite of this, there has been a trend towards bridging cultural differences among the people. In this regard, noted reformers like Sankara collectively built monuments like temples or other places of worship and cultural unification through pilgrimage have made way for a national unity. There is no doubt that Indian religions have shown much resilience to adapt themselves to new exigencies and have emerged stronger at present than in the past. It is therefore in fact that the cohesive force of Indian religions is stronger than their divisive susceptibilities. Before concluding this section, a few words may be said about the sectarian developments within religion. The sects in the West have arisen mainly because of the desire on the part of a breakaway group to secure religious freedom. The Catholic Church's long-standing hegemony in religious, political and social spheres was effectively challenged by the Protestants in 16th century Europe under the leadership of Martin Luther. The church had become corrupt. Its pastors frequently lapsed from the vow of celibacy. The popes used to grant bulls, mean certificates, which relieved the donors to the church of their sins. Instead of becoming a center of spiritualism, the church had become worldly or materialistic. While in public the Catholic Church upheld otherworldliness, it had come under the siege of feudal families of Europe, which sent bishops to the church to gain control over its vast estates and other properties. As the Protestant movement flourished in the post-16th century Europe, the Catholic Church lost its hold on the people in Europe, but it gained coverts in Asia, Latin America and Africa in the subsequent centuries. The rivalries between the two groups were very intense. As a rule, the Catholic used the power of the state to persecute Protestants and vice versa. In England, Germany, Netherlands and Nordic centuries, the Protestants have gained upper hand, while in Italy, Spain and Portugal, the Catholic have continued to remain dominant. To this day, Northern Europe has remained the center of Protestantism, while the Southern Europe is Catholic. In India, Buddhism and Jainism were some of the major sects which gained public recognition. They rejected some aspects of Vedic culture like animal sacrifice, etc., but broadly concurred with Vedic, Upanishadic culture. As such, there was no radical separation between these sects and the earlier religion. Louis Renaud has stated that the sects have provided dynamism to Indian culture by catering to its ethnic diversity. While religious doctrine can be abstract to ordinary people, the sects are tangible reality. Most believers identify themselves with one sect or the other. Their hopes and aspirations are shaped by the charismatic religious leaders who found the sects. Anyone who has visited Gujarat can notice the prestige of Vallabhacharya and Swami Narayan sects in that area. Likewise, there are followers of Shankardev in Assam and Chaitanya in Bengal, Kabir or Raidas in North India. Renaud writes, in contrast with popular Hinduism, which became a little stagnant and stale, the sect has become an instrument of progress. Reforms are of two kinds. Sometimes strictness in the performance of religious practices is recommended. Sometimes protest is registered against social scales and prohibition in order that every man may have access to the religious life. To sum up, Indian society offers a fascinating and disturbing aspect of religions to the observer. There is bigotry or touch attitude which borders on the irrational elements. But there are also the throngs of pilgrims who traverse the land to bathe at a holy river or visit a temple, utterly unmindful of the fact that they are with strangers speaking different languages. A confusion must be clarified here. For a long time, a popular literature, sects and castes have been treated as same. Both Vivekananda and Aurobindo have noted that castes were social frameworks designed to shelter the productive processes like agriculture, industry, and artisanship. By contrast, sects are fellowship of faith. The members of the sects are guided by their guru or acharya and not by rules of the purity and pollution. In a satsang, all caste prohibitions are laid at rest. The participants share the same shelter, eat and the same food, and address each other on equal terms. The Varkari sect of Maharashtra is a good example of this. Every year during the summer, thousands of people from different parts of the state or outside the state move in bands of pilgrims to Pandharpur, where the Vishnu is worshipped. All the bhagats are treated alike irrespective of their previous background. During the yatra, usually caste factor is significant for the members of the sect with reference to property, inheritance or marriage, but free interaction with others is expected from a sect member. To reiterate, in spite of some common features, caste is based on a hierarchy, while the sect is based on a fellowship of equals. Here we want to close this lecture. Thanks for listening.